Hey everyone, welcome back to my drawing channel. Today I want to talk about why I love using charcoal over graphite and why you might want to give it a try too. If you're used to graphite and haven't experimented much with charcoal, I'm telling you, this medium is so much fun. Okay, so I'm gonna use this super awesome stick today. It's called a willow charcoal stick from Maurice. Willow charcoal is made by slowly burning willow twigs in a low oxygen environment until they turn into pure carbon. They glide smoothly on paper, making it perfect for sketching and shading. It's known for its rich, deep blacks and easy erasability, allowing for quick adjustments and expressive marks. The first big advantage of charcoal is how it interacts with paper texture. I personally love using a combination of charcoal pencil and watercolor paper. Unlike smoother paper, watercolor paper has a rougher surface that acts almost like sandpaper, grabbing more of the charcoal and allowing me to achieve much deeper, darker tones than I could with graphite. As you can see in this quick comparison, even though I'm using the same charcoal, the values appear much richer when drawn on watercolor paper. One big advantage here is that I can easily erase to form my highlights, which helps me refine shapes and structure early on. A kneaded eraser works great for this, allowing me to gradually shape lighter areas as I build up depth in my drawing. Another interesting thing about this pairing is how it affects stroke control. With graphite on smooth paper, you need to be very precise because mistakes are harder to cover up. One of the biggest advantages of charcoal is its forgiving nature. Because it smudges so easily, nothing is truly permanent. Unlike graphite, which can sometimes leave stubborn marks that are difficult to erase cleanly, charcoal allows you to adjust and refine your work effortlessly. If you make a mistake or need to tweak a shape, a quick swipe with a kneaded eraser or a blending tool can soften or remove unwanted marks without damaging the paper. This flexibility encourages a more relaxed and experimental approach to drawing, making it easier to refine values, adjust proportions, and create smooth transitions without the fear of ruining your work. Now, some people might think of this as a downside because it can get messy, but honestly, that's part of the fun. Smudging is a powerful tool. It helps create smooth transitions, soft shadows, and natural gradients much faster than graphite. With graphite, you have to work really carefully to blend properly without getting that unnatural shine. With charcoal, just a light touch with a blending stump, a tissue, or even your finger, and you get beautiful, effortless shading. Since charcoal is so responsive to pressure and blending, you have more control over value transitions. You can start with a deep black and gradually lighten it using smudging techniques. This makes it much easier to create a sense of atmosphere and depth. With graphite, you often have to use multiple layers to achieve the same level of softness, making the process longer and more tedious. One more thing, charcoal makes it easy to erase and redefine shapes. When I need to erase something, I start with my Tombow Monozero eraser to lift most of the charcoal. However, it often leaves some residue behind. So I follow up with a kneaded eraser to clean up the drawing and refine the details. This is the best method I've found so far. One of my favorite things about charcoal is how easy it is to create realistic hair textures without drawing individual strands. A common mistake artists make when drawing hair is focusing too much on each hair strand instead of looking at the values. Here is a trick I use. I squint my eyes to blur my vision, which which helps me focus on the bigger shapes of light and shadow rather than tiny details. The method I'm using here starts with blocking in the paper with charcoal, then using a brush to spread it evenly. After that, I use my Tombow Mono Zero eraser to lift out the highlights, creating the light areas. Next, I take a sharp charcoal pencil to add the dark values, defining the forms. Since charcoal is easy to move around, I use my brush again to smooth everything out, blending the tones for a more refined look. As you can see, it comes together quickly and looks great in no time. Now let's talk about the color temperature difference. Have you ever noticed that graphite tends to look a bit cooler, almost with a slight silvery tone? On the other hand, charcoal has a warmer, slightly brownish tint. This might not be obvious at first, but once you start working with both, the difference becomes clear. This is why many artists feel that graphite gives a more polished, metallic look, while charcoal feels earthier and more organic. The warmer tone of charcoal makes it an excellent choice for portrait drawings. When drawing skin tones, warmth in the shadows makes the drawing feel more alive and natural. With graphite, the cooler shades might sometimes make skin appear too flat or artificial, especially if you're not careful with your value transitions. The difference is subtle, but makes a big impact in creating lifelike textures. The brownish tint actually feels like some kind of sepia filter on a phone, except it's much more subtle. This is one of the reasons why I love working with charcoal so much. Next up, creativity and freedom. Charcoal is a lot messier than graphite, but that actually makes it more fun. Since it's so responsive to blending, erasing, and layering, you get a lot of room to experiment. You can push and pull values easily, which makes it perfect for creating dramatic lighting and atmospheric effect. This is especially great for backgrounds. Unlike graphite, where shading large areas can be time-consuming, charcoal lets you fill them in quickly and effortlessly. Once the background is in place, I refine the edges and add some interesting random shapes to give it more depth and texture. I then erase certain areas, adjust others, and use my brush to create those smoky-looking textures. It does take some practice and confidence to get used to, but once you do, it becomes a fun and rewarding process. One of the biggest frustrations with graphite is the unwanted shine it develops when layered too much. Charcoal completely eliminates this problem. Since charcoal remains matte, it looks more consistent under different lighting conditions, making your drawing easier to view from any angle. This doesn't mean that graphite is bad or that charcoal is superior in every way. Each material has its own strengths and weaknesses, Graphite offers precise control and is easier to handle, while charcoal excels at creating deep contrasts and expressive textures. Looking at the final drawing here, you can see that the charcoal piece has a more edgier look, with stronger contrast and darker values. Achieving this level of depth and intensity is much easier with charcoal compared to graphite, which requires more layering and effort to reach similar results. So, are you guys Team Charcoal or Team Graphite? Let me know in the comments down below.